know that I'm unable to answer those questions, and they should be referred to
Mr.
Attorney
Secretary,
General Blanche.
what about the addendum to this agreement? Are you familiar with what the addendum is?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Are you familiar with this giveaway from the IRS that says President Trump and anyone that knows him or does business with him or part of a business, they get off scot-free? Are you aware of this?
Again, I refer you to Attorney General Blanche.
Are you Attorney General Blanche's client?
The IRS and Treasury are a client of the Department of Justice.
So is that a nice way of saying yes? You're a client. He's your lawyer.
He represents.
You're the secretary. Are you the Secretary of Treasury? Yes is the answer.
The Department of Justice.
Scott Bessent. Let me ask you this question, sir. Are you the Secretary?
In my personal capacity, Tom Blanche is not my attorney.
Correct, sir.
Are
you, sir,
for the
Mr.
U.S.
Secretary?
Treasury,
Scott, let me ask it this way. Scott, are you the Secretary of Treasury for the United States government?
Yes.
Appreciate that. The Department of Justice represents the IRS and the Department of Treasury in this lawsuit, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware of this addendum? You're telling me DOJ gave the president this without you knowing about it?
Again, they settle on our behalf.
Well, that's not how the law works, sir. I'm not a lawyer, but you have a bunch of them behind you. You should see the faces they're making at me behind you. They're all scowling at me back over here.
Well, I think that's a different reason, sir.
Well, for whatever it is, they're doing it.
Donald Trump's top cabinet members just fell apart under intense questioning on Capitol Hill. Two of Trump's top cabinet members collapsed under questioning. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent testified before the U.S. Senate, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio testified before the House of Representatives. He also testified before the Senate yesterday. Let me show you what happened first. Let me show you Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent being questioned by Democratic Senator Van Hollen about the settlement deal the Treasury Department made with Donald Trump, waiving all claims and investigations into Trump, his family, and the Trump Organization for Tax Evasion. Play this clip.
Know that I'm unable to answer those questions, and they should be referred to
Mr. Secretary, what about the addendum to this agreement? Are you familiar with what the addendum is?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Are you familiar with this giveaway from the IRS that says President Trump and anyone that knows him or does business with him or part of a business, they get off scot-free? Are you aware of this?
Again, I refer you to Attorney General Blanche.
Are you Attorney General Blanche's client?
The IRS and Treasury are a client of the Department of Justice.
So is that a nice way of saying yes? You're a client. He's your lawyer.
He represents.
You're the Secretary. Are you the Secretary of Treasury? Yes is the answer.
The Department of Justice.
Scott Bessent. Let me ask you this question, sir. Are you the Secretary?
In my personal capacity, Tom Blanche is not my attorney.
Correct, sir.
Are
you, sir,
for the
Mr.
U.S.
Secretary?
Treasury?
Scott, let me ask it this way. Scott, are you the Secretary of Treasury for the United States government?
Yes.
Appreciate that. The Department of Justice represents the IRS and the Department of Treasury in this lawsuit, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware of this addendum? You're telling me DOJ gave the president this without you knowing about it?
Again, they settle on our behalf.
Well, that's not how the law works, sir. I'm not a lawyer, but you have a bunch of them behind you. You should see the faces they're making at me behind you. They're all scowling at me back over here.
Well, I think that's a different reason, sir.
Well, for whatever it is, they're doing it.
Now heading to the House. Let me show you Congressman Liu questioning Marco Rubio about Donald Trump's declining mental sharpness and the fact that Trump keeps falling asleep during public meetings during the day. Watch. In my opinion, Marco Rubio basically lied under oath, claiming he's never seen Trump fall asleep, even though there's video of Trump dozing off right next to Rubio. Let's play this clip.
Have you been at more than one meeting where President Trump has fallen asleep?
That's false. That's false. I've never seen him fall asleep. On the contrary, the guy doesn't sleep, which is a big problem because he calls me at 2 a.m. He calls me at 5 a.m. And, you know, I like to sleep a little bit, maybe not 12 hours, but at least 6. So he works. The other day he was at the Oval Office until 12:30 p.m. 12:30 a.m. I don't know what you're talking about.
Secretary Rubio, I'm going to show you in a moment a video that shows you just lied to Congress.
Oh, okay.
So this is a video of a cabinet meeting literally from last month where Donald Trump is sleeping while you're talking. Please show this video.
coalition of countries that line up behind the peace deal, behind the border peace, and it's still every day is a challenge. But it's been driven personally by the president. It's the reason why we're involved in this whole Ukraine-Russia conflict. That's not our war. It's not the president's war. This war started. It never would have happened if you've been president. But this war is going on, and the president is trying to end it.
You are literally talking about issues of war and peace, and Donald Trump is sleeping right next to you.
No, he's not.
If Donald Trump cannot stay awake at these important meetings where the cameras are rolling, imagine what he's like when the cameras are not there. So I'm going to ask you, have you been at classified meetings where Donald Trump has fallen asleep or had trouble staying awake?
I've never been at any meeting where, and the things you're showing me now, he was not falling asleep. And
So-
I think
so
it's
you're
outrageous
lying
that I'm before
again.
the Foreign
You're
Affairs
lying
Committee of the United States
consistently
House of Representatives
to
asking questions
Congress.
about sleep.
You're
This is
lying
a
to
joke.
Congress, Secretary Rubio. So I'm going to show you another video in a moment. The
Show me all the videos you want.
president's inability to stay awake on the job has caused other countries to perceive him differently. They mock him. They see he is weak and he is feeble.
Now back to the Senate, where Senator Warren questioned Bessent, asking what grade he'd give the economy right now. Bessent says, A++. Play this clip.
Last month, I asked the president's nominee to lead the Federal Reserve what I thought was a simple question, but he tried to dodge it. His answer was cute. I'm not sure the American people who were struggling were laughing. So I'll ask you the same question to see if I can get a clearer answer. President Trump has said that his grade of the economy, his words, is a quote, plus, 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 plus. He said this before he sent energy and gas prices soaring with this illegal war in Iran, a war that's costing taxpayers billions of dollars, $1 billion or more per day, turbocharging inflation. So I'll ask the Secretary of the Treasury the same question. Given all of the challenges facing ordinary Americans, our political differences aside, what grade would you give the U.S. economy right now?
Which challenges other than temporarily
What?
elevated prices would you identify, Senator?
I'm asking you, what grade would you give the economy?
I think we have the makings of one of the strongest economies in history. We've had 2.6% growth.
So you,
And core inflation had dropped. Food inflation since President Trump began, as much as you all they want to disagree,
I got it.
is
So you- so-
it's 2.5%.
so you agree with the president? You would give the economy a plus, 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 plus
I think we have all
from where you sit.
I think we have all the makings for a very strong economy. I think that we have temporary elevated prices that will come back down.
I got it. So you're telling Americans it's not so bad. Americans give the Trump economy a failing grade. You and I can disagree, but this is not about us. They give the economy a failing grade because they can't afford anything. Folks back at home at Georgia, whom I represent, are struggling. Let me finish. To just make their lives work. And they know President Trump's Iran war and the tariff taxes are only making things worse. Talk to farmers in Georgia.
More from the questioning of Rubio by Ted Lieu. Lieu basically calls out Rubio for taking part in North Korea-style cabinet meetings with Donald Trump. Let's play it.
So Secretary Rubio, instead of holding North Korean-style cabinet meetings where everyone goes around the room kissing Donald Trump's ass, I'm going to ask you to come clean with the American people and the White House as well. There's something wrong with Donald Trump's health or cognitive abilities. There's a reason he keeps going to the hospital and they keep giving him cognitive tests. We have not seen the president in 8 days. The American people deserve the truth. I yield back.
I don't even know how to respond to that other than to tell you that it's absurd and ridiculous. And I can't believe we're in a Foreign Affairs Committee meeting in front of the House, an important time in American foreign policy.
Just keep lying,
answering
Secretary Rubio.
questions
Just keep
from
lying.
a so-called, supposedly someone who thinks he's a medical expert when he's not. The truth of the matter is we had a cognitively impaired president in office a few years ago. That's a cognitively impaired president, but I don't like to talk about that because it weakens America. This president we have, this is a guy that literally doesn't sleep. He works day and night, long hours, every single day. I don't know if you haven't seen him in 8 days. I saw him yesterday. I didn't see him yesterday because I was in Congress the day before. I talked to him at all hours of the day and night. He works inhumane hours. Okay, I've been on foreign trips with the president that he doesn't sleep in the whole flight. And everyone else is sleeping on the plane, and he's, wandering the hallways looking for someone to wake up and talk to. That people are. So I don't know what you're referring to, but he has an incredible amount of energy. I'm just telling you, you may not like his policies. You may not like his policies. You may not like the decisions he's made, but I assure you, this is not a president that sleeps or is cognitively impaired in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, is incredibly active, much more so in many cases than much younger people that are around him. Those are facts. I see it every day. You're not going to agree because you have another narrative that you want to push, but those are the facts.
I just showed you
Representative
3
Issa is
videos of
recognized.
him sleeping. Senator
Representative
Rubio.
Issa is recognized.
Now back to the Senate, where Democratic Senator Cortez Masto questioned Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent about whether the 400,000 other taxpayers caught up in the 2019 data breach whose tax returns were leaked during Trump's first term get the same immunity from tax evasion investigations and charges that Donald Trump does. Play this clip.
You are the acting IRS commissioner, correct?
That is incorrect.
What is your position right now with the IRS?
My term expired.
So you have no position with the IRS whatsoever?
The IRS is a bureau that reports to Treasury. When there is no commissioner, those duties float up to me.
All right. So there's no interaction that you have right now or responsibility over the IRS other than the commissioner's there. Commissioner has free reign, and you don't have any authority to stop anything?
No, there is no commissioner, so I assume those duties.
So there is no commissioner, so you're acting commissioner?
No, that's incorrect.
Okay, so for purposes of the public, let's get it straight so the public knows your involvement. There is no commissioner. There's somebody that is acting.
I had previously been the acting commissioner.
Okay.
Senator Warren, who likes to send me a lot of letters, was kind enough to send me a letter.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out your role with the IRS. For the purposes of the public and transparency, what is your role currently with the IRS in your authority?
I am performing the duties of the commissioner.
Oh, so you are. Okay, got it. So let me ask you this, because you talked about not only Donald Trump and his family, but there were 400,000 taxpayers' information that was also leaked by Mr. Littlejohn, the contractor working for the IRS. Do you intend to give them the same immunity as President Trump and his family received?
Again, you were not here at the beginning. I had a statement that I read to Chairman Crapo that I am unable to provide any additional details.
Well, that's not part of the litigation.
Due to litigation.
That's the 400,000 taxpayers aren't part of the litigation. You have said there were 400,000 taxpayers' information that was also leaked. They're not part of that litigation. Do you intend to give them the same immunity that you gave Donald Trump and his family and corporations that were part of the litigation?
Senator, you may have missed the first part of this, but Treasury does not give any of that. We are represented by the Justice Department.
That's right. You're the acting commissioner. As acting commissioner, you had said earlier you had concerns about those 400,000 taxpayers whose documents were leaked by an independent contractor with the IRS. If you have concerns about those 400,000, do you intend as acting or your whatever role it is you have as the IRS commissioner, do you intend to give them the same type of treatment?
We will follow the instructions and the settlement
that was not part of the settlement. That was not part of the settlement. So clearly, let me just say, that was not part of the settlement. It's been very clear you're dodging this and you're trying to use it as an excuse. That's just outrageous on behalf of the American public. So let me just move on.
And that I will follow the law as an excuse, Senator?
When you were
More from the Rubio questioning right here. Congresswoman Jacobs questioned Rubio about who actually won the war, whether the war has really been won, and whether the U.S. is prematurely declaring victory. Let me show you what happened. Play this clip.
In Iran. Yesterday, in your Senate testimony, you told Senator Booker that the war in Iran is over. This is news to me. It's also news to my 2,500 constituents, Marines, San Diego Marines in the Middle East off the coast of Iran, the other of my constituents who are deployed there, and the thousands more of my constituents who have 48-hour deployment notices whose families are still very concerned. But okay, I will take you at your word. If the war is over, I have a simple question. Who won?
First of all, Epic Fury is over, which is what you would consider the war. That operation is
So you agree
concluded.
it's a war then?
No, those are hostilities. They called it a war.
Okay.
I'm just responding to the Senator
Mr.
Booker's
Secretary,
question.
you can change the name of the operation. It doesn't change the fact that the strait is still closed and my service members and all of our service members are still in harm's way. The war is not over. But I'm agreeing with you. Okay, Fine, we're taking you at your word. The war is over. Who won?
Well, first of all, you're not taking me at my word. It's a fact. We're no longer conducting sustained strikes inside of Iran to degrade their military because epic fury is over. The second point is on the question of who won, I can tell you this. We defined victory as destroying their defense industrial base, significantly reducing the number of missile launchers that they possess, significantly reducing their stockpile of drones. And we achieved all of those in addition to destroying what they had left of an air force and wiping out their entire conventional navy. Those are all gone. So I consider that victory, and we did too, and that was the purpose.
And by the way, here are photos of Rubio's shoes, these Ferragamo dress shoes. Donald Trump buys these shoes for Rubio 2 or 3 sizes too big and makes him wear them and walk around in front of him. That's something Trump does with a lot of his cabinet members, makes them wear shoes that are too big so they look awkward. I don't know why. Anyway, Marco Rubio is then asked about Greenland and whether it's part of Denmark, and Rubio says, for now, more threats from the Secretary of State, supposedly America's top diplomat, about taking over a NATO ally's territory and stripping their sovereignty. Play this clip.
The UK had suffered more.
More per capita.
Okay, gotcha.
And I assume you're aware that Greenland is indeed part of Denmark.
For now.
Okay. Well,
More questioning of Rubio, this time from Congressman Stanton, who questions Rubio about the conflict of interest with Witkoff and Kushner taking part in negotiations with Iran, or any country really, given how deeply invested they are in Middle East business deals, despite never being officially appointed to these roles. Why would the Secretary of State hand off his job as lead negotiator to Jared Kushner and Witkoff, guys who are personally raking in huge money from Middle Eastern countries? Play this clip.
Another company chaired by Sheikh Tagnoon, MGX, deposited $2 billion in World Liberty Financial's stablecoin, the single largest investment in the crypto company ever. Weeks later, the chip deal was announced despite national security concerns. Secretary Rubio, do you believe that Mr. Witkoff has an unacceptable conflict of interest?
I have never seen any evidence that he's made any decisions or advocated for any position that's to his personal benefit. On the contrary, and again, I can't speak to all the things you're saying now because that's not, Mr. Witkoff is an employee of the White House and he undergoes the ethics vetting and the procedures for disclosure that are appropriate to them, not to the State Department. But I would just add, I want to be fair, okay? I've never seen the guy ever say anything to me that makes me think this is personal rather than, the only thing he's ever done is spend his own money.
Yeah.
I know he has spent his own money at great personal expense to fly around the world on his own airplane, not on the government bill. He has done it, but everything out of his own pocket.
Are you concerned about the appearance of a conflict of interest in Mr. Witkoff?
I've never seen anything that leads me to have that concern. Again, you've cited a bunch of things. I'm just not aware of those but I'm just telling you my personal interactions with Mr. Witkoff are of a person who just thinks he's serving the country and is happy to do so, not out of any personal gain, but because he wants to serve the country.
As Secretary of State, who's in charge of the foreign affairs of the United States, have you spoken to President Trump about any concerns about conflict of interest with Mr. Witkoff?
I haven't had to. I've not seen any.
Let's talk about Jared Kushner. His private equity firm, Affinity Partners, has raised more than $6 billion since it was founded in 2021, including $1.2 billion just over the last year. Mr. Secretary, are you aware of how much of that $6 billion has been raised from foreign nationals?
I don't know anything about it.
The answer is 99%. These include sovereign wealth funds operated by Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar. The Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund is the largest investor in Affinity Partners. In fact, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman personally recommended that Saudi Arabia invest in Affinity Partners. The Crown Prince has also personally urged President Trump in multiple phone calls to continue the ongoing war of choice in Iran. Let's put it another way. The man who bankrolled Kushner's business venture is the same man who is lobbying for the war Kushner is tasked with ending. Mr. Secretary, same question. Are you concerned about any conflict of interest by Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law?
Again, in Jared's case, Jared is a private citizen who's been advising and participating in this voluntarily. He's not compensated for it or in any way. But I've never seen from either Steve or Jared on the contrary. All I've ever seen them do is put tremendous amount of time and energy into trying to solve problems, like the amount of time they put into Gaza and the Board of Peace and all of that process. I think I believe they've done it out of the kindness and goodness of their heart. They think they're serving the country.
The goodness of their heart. Mr. Secretary, what Jared Kushner...
Then back to the U.S. Senate, where Senator Smith questioned Treasury Secretary Bessent about the struggles farmers are facing. Besant responds, "Well, I'm a farmer too. I own a farm, so I can relate to farmers. No, you're a billionaire, an Epstein-class individual. That's what you actually are. And you're crushing farmers right now, hurting Americans badly. And your level of arrogance is absolutely disgusting to witness." Play this clip.
Senator, do you believe that Iran can have a nuclear weapon?
Mr. Secretary, this is my time to ask you the questions. How do you respond to Minnesota farmers who cannot afford the fertilizer they need?
I think if you were to look in the dictionary, the definition of a farmer is someone who owns a farm and farms the land. And so as a former farmer, I will tell you that, and maybe you know, that 75% of the fertilizer had already been purchased this year.
That is not what my farmers in Minnesota are telling me, sir. They are telling me that they cannot afford their fertilizer, and they know the reason why. They know the reason.
There is no doubt that farmers have been struggling, but much of that there was a record crop last year, Senator. And what do record crops lead to?
What my farmers are
lower
telling
prices.
Me. So I'm sure I will take that back. I will take that back to my producers in Minnesota, that they have somebody in this Department of Treasury, a former farmer, who is feeling their pain. Thank you.
Senator Lankford.
To President Trump and his family, gets them off scot-free. Does every American become part of this addendum? If someone didn't pay their taxes or violated tax law or did bad things, are they told, can't prosecute you, you're good? Everyone going back to the date of this, or is this only for President Trump and his affiliates?
Senator, do you have specific knowledge that President Trump's being audited?
Sir, I have specific knowledge of this addendum that you don't know a damn thing about. That is for the Department of Treasury that your lawyer at the Department of Justice signed you up for. The reason I'm asking this question is because President Trump's sons signed a deal, as you know, with World Liberty Financial, with a bunch of folks you sanctioned. And now, as part of this, there's an addendum that says President Trump and his kids and anyone affiliated with him, I don't know if it's current wives, former wives, people that just did transactions with him, they're off scot-free. That, you know, that has a new way, a new ring to it, this thing, scot-free, because the Department of Treasury and the IRS is not going to go after him, sir. This is wrong. This is lawless. I hope our colleagues will look at this addendum. If I could offer this into the record, Mr. Chairman, for those that haven't seen it yet.
Without objection.
Come on, man. There's a better way of doing this, sir. That's all we're saying here. So, look, I appreciate it if you don't want to talk about a lawsuit. That's your prerogative to answer that way. But to say that you as a client, as Secretary of the U.S. Treasury, does not know what the Department of Justice is giving away to people, come on, man. That's just not on the up and up, sir. I hope we can do
don't
better.
Understand the way the protocol works, and we receive advice and accept their settlement.
You're telling me as the Secretary of U.S. Treasury, you don't know that the President of the United States, who I think you work for, got a sweetheart deal from the Department of Justice, who's your lawyer.
I do know.
You're in line for the presidency, Scott.
I do know that the President of the United States and 400, many of his employees had the largest tax leak in history. And
I know, here's his filing, sir, of all the insider trading. Right here.
Do you want to apologize on behalf of the American government?
Scott, you should apologize to the American people for fleecing them and giving this away to Donald Trump, man. That's what you should do.
We can agree to disagree.
Senator Warnock.
Thanks. That we'll agree on.
Of virtually every one of those stocks that the president traded in is directly affected by President Trump's official actions. So, Secretary Besant, you and I agree that it is a conflict of interest for members of Congress to trade stocks. Do you also agree that it's a conflict of interest for President Trump to trade stocks?
Well, a couple of things, Senator. One, President Trump is not sitting in the Oval Office engaging in a high-frequency trading strategy. Clearly, he had an outside manager who was doing that, and I think it's incumbent upon both houses of Congress to get their house in order before you move to the administrative branch.
You think it's okay for the president to do this? Because let's be clear, you are a Wall Street guy, so you know better. The investments that President Trump has made are not blind. President Trump literally signed the 113-page document publicly listing all of his individual stock trades at the same time that he is making decisions affecting those stocks. So you're going to sit here with straight face and say it's not a conflict of interest for the President of the United States to do that?
I'm going to say this body needs to get its house in order first.
How about we get the White House in order at the same time?
I would encourage you to do that.
I don't trade in individual stocks. I don't own any individual stocks. My house is in order.
Senator, you're very
Mr.
rich.
Secretary.
Others on this committee can't say that, Senator.
More questioning here from Senator Hassan, questioning Besant. Let me show you what took place.
Regularly, are you trying to tell him the truth about how much costs have increased for the American people?
Well, Senator, I'm going to have to disagree with you on some of that because I have groceries are going down. And to be clear, since President Trump took office, food prices, or as many people like to call them, groceries, food at home in the statistical data, is up 2.5%.
When's the last time you were in a grocery store? Because my husband and I were just in one. And look, the average Granite Stater is paid, let me be clear, the average Granite Stater has paid $3,000 more since Donald Trump took office for basic goods and services. Meanwhile, the country lost 100,000 manufacturing jobs in 2025. So do you tell the president this information or not?
That, again, Senator, except for inflation, which is, I believe, going to be a short-term blip, the economic data is very strong. The jobs data has been very strong. The manufacturing ISM has been very strong.
No, actually, that's incorrect. So let's move on because what's clear to me...
Which part was incorrect, Senator?
No, what is very clear to me is that neither you nor the president nor this administration are willing to acknowledge how much more people are paying at the gas pump, at the grocery store, in utilities, for healthcare, for all aspects of American life, nor have you acknowledged the number of manufacturing jobs that were lost in 2025.
Americans are paying 2.5% more for groceries since President Trump took office, which is half the annual amount under Biden administration.
We're not talking about Biden. We're talking about this administration and its promise to lower costs and the fact that this president says he doesn't care. Now, let's go on to it. Mr. Secretary, my time is limited. I'd like to reclaim a little bit of my time because I have one more question. The administration has claimed that its top priority is lowering costs for American families, but the president instead continues to pursue vanity projects at a significant cost to taxpayers. He requested $1 billion for the White House ballroom, spent $45 million on military birthday parade, proposed a $100 million arch at Memorial Circle, and now Treasury is planning production of a $250 bill with his face on it. Mr. Secretary, how does the president's requested $1 billion ballroom or all of these other vanity products lower costs for American families or help constrain spending?
Senator, first of all, you're incorrect. There is no cost to the American people. If there is a new bill for the ballroom, the decorative part of the ballroom is privately funded, and everything that you were talking about.
The president requested $1 billion for the White House ballroom in our budget. He has spent $45 million on a military birthday parade. So
look, it goes on outside my office every day. I've watched it progress, and it is national security matters that the $1 billion is for.
That's ridiculous, and I think you know it. I'll yield back my time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We'll keep you updated with more throughout the day, but this was pretty compelling testimony and questioning, showing that they're lying under oath and that they're just as terrible as we think they are, maybe even worse. All right, hit subscribe.